Welcome, gentle listener, I am Baldermort, your faithful servant, and I wish to introduce you to the forces, factions, and units of the Warhammer 40k universe, the grim darkness of the far future, where there is no time for peace, there is only time for war. And today, we are to take a brief look at one of the newer and more horrible of the Chaos line, a being that bestrides the battlefield like a foul lion. It can sap the energies of the enemy and send it back at them in torrents of force. Its charge is a thing of dread, as a powerful combination of rider and steed are a force to be reckoned with. Of course, I can only be speaking of the Lords Discordant of the Chaos Space Marine Legions. Now, please do bear with me, as January is one of my limited rest months, so some entries will be biscuity. Light bites to keep the channel afloat while I recover from the mad pace I instilled between September and December. But have no fear. Longer and more sumptuous repasts are looming. I sincerely believe you will enjoy them. But for the rest of the month, I believe, we shall only be releasing a couple of videos a week instead of the usual 3. Needs must when the devil drives, as they say. Or in simpler parlance, even a servant requires a rest period or 2. My apologies. And now, an incredibly brief word from our sponsors. 47 seconds. Let's do it. Raid Shadow Legends, where you too can be a legend. The fantastic fantasy game available on PC, console and all smartphones. Free to play. Him again. And the Hydra is still dominating the landscape and crushing all who come before it. Can you defeat the Hydra with all of its 5 mystic heads and traits? Because if you can, then he gives the best drops in the game. Updates? Haha, it's esports legend and RV superstar, Simples. Limited edition champion is still available for free to both new and old players in Raid. This is the best time to get started in Raid, and if you use my link in the description or scan my QR code, the techno thingy, you'll get some free resources and a free mystery champion straight away to kickstart your game. I'm not telling you who it is, but trust me, they're awesome. Hit my link and see who you'll get. All this treasure will be waiting for you here. That said, let us get to the guts of the matter. And so, as usual, for the very basics, let us lean on existing wisdom. To quote, "Showers of sparks and the flapping of loosed wiring are as pleasing as the jets of blood that gush from an open wound." These machine-obsessed heretics scuttle across the battlefield atop Hellstalker mounts, a palpable aura of anarchy exuding from their very being. Upon sighting the enemy, they take stock of the war machines that have been brought to bear against them, and plot their path of destruction. Our Lord Discordant is able to cut his way swiftly through the infantry on the front line, roasting them alive or riddling them with hails of shot, while his metallic steed crushes them to bloody paste beneath its blade-like limbs. But this rent flesh is merely an appetizer for the feast of suffering to come. Our Lord Discordant continues to spur his Hellstalker onwards until he has reached the foe's tanks and towering walkers. As he charges, he bellows profane litanies in a tongue that is vile and incomprehensible to mortal ears, and causes comm systems, vox grills, and loud halos to crackle as though screaming in agony. His mere presence short-circuits machinery not riddled with demonic entities. Actuators and servos whir erratically, and targeting augers cease to function. Once in range, the Lord's Hellstalker pounces upon the nearest enemy vehicle, its massive forelimbs stabbing into the hull of its machine prey, piercing through ablative armor and tearing at gun turrets. Some Hellstalkers use magma cutters to slice open the vehicles they have pinned, while others have enormous hypo-armor syringes that, after piercing the outer shell of their prey, inject scrap code and demonic data phages directly into the machine's circuitry. The Lord Discordant himself lunges forward with his impaler chainglaive, its whirling blade gouging metal and exposing the vehicle's internal workings, while its mechatendrils rip at its paneling. He hears the machine's pain. He feels its struggle to reroute vital functions to maintain system integrity. And his Hellstalker feeds on this suffering. The demon engine parasitically devours the motive force that powers its prey, be it a machine spirit or some other esoteric data sentience employed in Xenos technology. As it does so, its own metallic frame swells with ingested code and subroutines, while rents in its casting crackle with warp energy and seal closed. The Lord Discordant siphons off the pained spirits of the dying vehicles, his mechatendrils lapping up the spasmodic electrical discharges and corrupting their information signatures. This harvested energy is then used to reinvigorate other demon engines, or is released as a screaming beam to infect the systems of other enemy vehicles. After their foe has been annihilated, Lords Discordant continue to prowl the battlefield, searching through the wreckage and piles of scrap for machinery in which some glimmer of motive force remains. When such vehicle remnants are found, their energy is swiftly cannibalized and corrupted. Lords Discordant ceaselessly experiment with these machine sentiences, twisting them into myriad data configurations for different horrific effects, finding new ways to sow the seeds of disruption. Zinchian Lords Discordant cause vehicles to twist themselves through unseen folding dimensions, crumpling them into impossible small heaps of slag. The techno-imperatives crafted by Nurglesque Lords cause vehicles to vent internal gases, while their outer plating slews off like a diseased scab. Perhaps most disturbing are the Slaaneshi Lords Discordant, who are able to rewire machines to feel constant and excruciating pain. Times to play. Now some might be of the mind that to do anything less than your best, to fight one whit below your ability, is an insult and should never be performed. You shall play to win, or not at all. Okay. Now, we know I am utterly contrary to this, as I think it misses the point. Radically misses the point. Because if you truly believe that winning a game of toy soldiers makes you a better man, woman, or whatever person you describe, then you really do need to look at your priorities, discover your core, and stop worrying about what people think of you. Because it is a well-known fact that all new players are to be winners in the Warhammer stores. I had a particularly funny time watching a manager attempt to make me win when I bought back into fantasy. Alas, it was only months before the setting became the world that was, and I was certainly not grumpy at all when it hit. But I did make him sweat. I charged his lines with my wizard, farted about with my line infantry so they could never quite get into combat at the right time, misjudged my charges. I literally tortured this poor chap for an hour, and he was desperate to allow me to win. I am not proud of the fact, but as skullduggery goes, I felt it was a minor infraction, as I then dumped a healthy bag of florins on the counter and walked away with a good few units of hiles, I can tell you. So Luke, sorry mate, it was a bad day. But this small uncharacteristic cruelty aside, the reason that people are taught to allow and facilitate a player to win their first game is in fact a good one in my mind. How can one know the heady thrill of victory if it is so difficult to gain it? A new player has to work to earn the money, then buy and construct their men, then to paint them, learn their background, learn the general rules, and then learn their army rules. And when you add all of that up, it's a high bar for most. And that is before you even roll dice. All of that. So when I see a noob at the club, which is a rarity these days, but still does occur, I always offer a game to settle them in. Give them a walkthrough. Try to let them see the joy of the game. And yes, I let them win. Why not? It takes nothing from me. And I get the pleasure of seeing their eyes light up, the spring in their step, the swell of their chest. Good fun. But, and I will qualify this, if said player then gets too big for their boots, I'm also one of the first to pleasantly play a game and take them to pieces in short order. but with a good word and kind heart. Then I discuss their tactics with them, their deployment. I show them why I won. Unless, of course, it was outrageous good luck, of course. For me, this is rare, though. I generally get just okay luck. That way they learn, and that way they can see that, as clever as they may think they are, none of their armies are invulnerable to a rascally old bugger. So, as I've been saying recently, and I'm sorry to carp on about it so often, try to take the ego out of your game. Try to take a step back and just see it for what it is. Again, a chance to spend time with your friends, an opportunity to make new friends with like-minded people, and a way to relax. Because your army might be getting slaughtered on the battlefield, but if you watch it like a movie, taking the underdog position and creating your own tragic tale to add to the wealth of history of your army, then you will soon find that you are not worrying about your bills, relationship, rent, work, your boss, or your health. You will be watching your army fight fantastical battles on alien worlds. And that little break, that regular thing to look forward to, could very well save you from a heart attack. Not joking. Be well, brothers and sisters. Be happy. And no matter what you do today, do try to make some time for fun. Toodaloo.